Hi there honeybees, thank you so much for joining me for these breakdowns of some 3-card spreads that I've designed. I know that 3-card spreads are a massive thing in the card slinging world, whether we're using Oracle, Angel or Tarot decks or other weird and wild concoctions that have been thought into existence. So many people love using quick 3-card spreads, they're always looking for new ideas, and I know we've got loads of tried and tested ones like past, present, future, mind, body, spirit, yesterday, today and tomorrow, you know, just the classic ones that we do use when we want a 3-card spread. Just a little disclaimer for you guys before I begin. I know that a lot of the spread designs that I showcase on the channel are actually for sale in my online store. At the time of filming this particular video, I don't have any of these for sale as mini readings in my online store. They're literally just things that I came up with that I thought might be helpful, that I wanted to share, but I don't actually have a purchase option for any of them at the moment. If that changes and I am actually selling any of these spread designs as mini readings in my online store by the time this actually comes out, this video, then I will also leave the links down below for you in case you actually want me to pull cards for you using one of these 3-card spreads. But at the present time as it stands, I'm not putting any of these into the online store. I just hope that they will help you to maybe be more inventive with your 3-card spreads, put some new positions and some new spreads into your repertoire. If you're looking for new 3-card spreads, I hope one of these tickles your fancy. So let's get started. As with all of my other spread explanations and breakdowns, guys, this is not a dummy spread. I'm not going to be doing examples. I'm not going to be turning these cards over. I'm not doing a reading for anyone. This is basically just something nice to look at. This whole setup is just something nice to look at because I think when I'm talking about spread positions, it makes more sense for me to be pointing at cards so you can actually kind of visualize the cards in the positions rather than looking at my face. So I always do use kind of a, you know, a little sort of little spread layout basically. And if you're wondering what this deck is, it's the back of the Sacred Creators Oracle deck. And if you're wondering what the stones are, I've got rose quartz over here, and I will not be held accountable for how washed out these look, okay, because I can't actually see the camera right now, but maybe these look washed out, I don't know. And then I've got my little family of calcite here, the honey, the red and the green. I do work with blue as well. And then I've got a chunk of amethyst here. The first 3-card spread that I want to put forth to you as a possibility for readings that you do for yourself or others is called cords and ties. So the first spread position is which cords should be cut. And this is basically looking at what you need to get rid of, what's no longer serving you, relationships, situations, obligations, etc. that have run their course or could be damaging for you at the moment. So it's basically what do you need to say goodbye to, what do you really kind of need to stop or move away from. The second spread position is looking at which ties should be bound. So this is in the complete opposite direction. It's looking at what you need to move into closer alignment to, which ties are positive for you, and that's ties to people, activities, plans, all that kind of thing. So it's looking at the ties that need to be bound in contrast with the first card, which is the cords that need to be cut. So it's what you need to get away from, what you need to move closer to. And then the third spread position in the cords and ties reading is how to find the strength to make it so. So basically with both of these cards there's quite sort of a heavy energy of responsibility here. With the first card you're looking at what you need to cut away, what's no longer serving, what needs to go, and with the other card you're looking at what to move closer to, what to create a bond with, what to dedicate yourself to. So there's quite a lot of action oriented advice here with these cards presumably, and also quite a hefty dose of responsibility and accountability. So with this third card we're really looking at how you can generate the strength to do all of the things that have been suggested in these first 2 cards. It's really looking at how you can connect with your sense of deep empowerment. It's looking at the strengths that you have at your disposal, the abilities that you have that you can really use, any assistance or external resources you can call upon to help you, all of that kind of thing. So it's really helping you to activate and get the momentum and the self-belief that is needed to do the work of these 2 cards here. So that is the cords and ties spread design. Obviously you can just do it as a general spread and see what comes through, or you can very much direct this one towards a specific challenge or problem that you are experiencing as well. The next 3-card spread that I want to offer for your consideration is called Life Influences. So card number 1 of the life influences spread design is which childhood influences are having an effect. So the first card really zooms in on your childhood, your memories from childhood, the lessons that you learned, your conditioning, your relationship with your parental templates, etc. And it's really figuring out what kinds of influences or experiences from childhood are having an effect on the present situation or your present state of being. The second of the 3 cards is looking at which adolescent influences are having an effect. So here we are looking at the adolescent years, we're looking at the teens. Some of you watching this will be teens and you'll have to break this down a bit differently, but the majority of my demographic are older. So here we're looking at, the influences that occurred during adolescence that could be having an effect on the present situation that you're going through or your present state of being. And then, as you might have guessed, the third and final card in the life influences spread design is which adult influences are having an effect. So what we often forget when we're looking at self-development and personal growth and self-actualization is that we are never actually done. We never stop learning lessons and we never stop having really pivotal experiences. So it's not just a case of looking at the childhood and the adolescence, it's also looking at anything that you might have experienced as an adult which is currently having an effect on your current state of mind or the current situation in which you find yourself. Again, I think that the life influences spread design would be really, really good as a general read if you don't necessarily have a question or focus area. But then, of course, at the same time, it would really benefit you if you are going through a specific experience and you need to figure out what kinds of influences from each phase of life may be having an effect or maybe actually getting in the way of you doing what you need to do for yourself. You might be struggling to feel empowered or clear in a situation, and you might want to have a look at how the various different aspects of your life journey are actually influencing that. So it is really good for a specific situation or relationship as well, but again, you might just want to do it, completely free of any focus area, and I think it would work perfectly for that too. The next 3 card spread that I want to break down for you is called the helper, and this is really for people who are nurturers, who are caregivers, who find that they are often helping or giving support or encouragement, whether you work in a professional healing role of some kind, whether you tend to be the healer or the listening ear in your friendship group. This spread could be really good for you, but it is also very good for people who are finding themselves being of service or helping with a specific situation or for a specific cause, and maybe they're trying to figure out where the healthy boundaries are around that as well. So I'll just break it down for you and you can decide how much your mileage varies on how useful this would be for you. So the first spread position for the helper reading is whereabouts can you be of service effectively. So this first card is looking at whereabouts your service is going to be accepted and it's going to be useful. Whereabouts can you actively be of service in a situation or for an individual or as part of a cause or an organisation, and find that that service is accepted and effectual. So that's card number 1. The second spread position in the helper reading is whereabouts should you stop being of service. So this is looking at whereabouts your service is no longer required or no longer helpful. It could be looking at whereabouts you might be trying to help, but it's really not getting you anywhere and you just need to stop. It could be looking at whereabouts you are enabling somebody's crappy behaviour and therefore you need to move away from that. So a number of different things could be coming up here. This second card may also be very useful for people, well, this reading overall actually would be useful for people who find that they're helping with a lot of different causes or a lot of different individual issues, and they need to figure out which ones are not necessarily so important to expend energy on and which ones need to be prioritised. So these 2 first cards in the spread certainly are really useful as well for someone whose plate is very full and they're trying to figure out, what kinds of things need to take priority and which things can be put on the back burner. And then the final spread position in the helper reading is how can you ensure that you practice self-care when being of service. And of course this one is really important. I don't need to teach any of you how to suck eggs. If you're being of service in any way, whether it's advocacy for social issues, whether it's in your family, your friendship group, whether you are caring for a partner or a relative, You have to know that your self-care is of importance, and that has to be factored in as well. That needs to be a priority too. So the third card really kind of helps you to get to grips with that and think about how you can make sure that your self-care routine is in place and you are focusing on your own well-being. This next reading is called the Carryover, and this reading needs to be done at a time when you are standing on the threshold between one phase of life and another. So you might want to do it on your birthday as a way to celebrate an entire year going through the world and graduating to a new year of life. You might want to do it at the end of a week, at the end of a month, at the end of a lunar cycle, or at the end of a year at New Year, for example. You might want to do it when you are moving to a new location. You could do it after being bereaved, after losing a parent, or going through something that has been very life-altering for you and you feel like you are really moving on to the next phase. Maybe your kids are leaving home, maybe your spiritual journey has changed a lot. So it's got to be something that's done in the liminal space between one phase of life and another. And as I said, it can just be as easy as doing it on a Sunday night right at the end of the week, or it could be something as significant as doing it on your birthday or doing it after a breakup or something like that. So spread position number 1 for the Carryover is, what are you leaving behind? So when you're focusing on what you are leaving behind as you move into this new phase, you might find that what comes up in the card is very much looking at what has been resolved for you. So what you've actually figured out and what you can now let go of because the lesson has been learned. At other times, the card may represent something that has been dissolved. So you might not necessarily feel like you have emotionally resolved it and said goodbye to it, but it is a representation of what has actually ended. Sometimes this card actually can represent something that you do need to leave behind, but maybe you're not quite aware of it yet, and maybe this card is telling you what you need to leave behind, and it's giving you some tough, loving advice about the fact that you now need to kind of put that issue to bed, put that relationship down, move away from that toxic habit, because you're moving into this new phase and there's no room in the new phase for the bad habit or the relationship or whatever. So sometimes it definitely gives you a tough, loving round of advice where it says, you know what, you are ready to leave this behind. You've got to leave this behind before you move forward. And then position number 2 in the Carryover is, what are you carrying over? So this is basically, what are you taking with you into the new phase, whatever that new phase is. And sometimes you might find that this is lessons that you've learned as a result of what you're leaving behind. Sometimes you might find that it's actually baggage that you are supposed to take with you to the new phase so you can carry on working with it and figuring it out. So dependent upon the issue, dependent upon the individual, there's going to be a spectrum of possibility for this card as well. Sometimes, like I said, it's about something that you consciously know that you are carrying over with you, like your strengths, your lessons, your plans, your dreams. Other times it's stuff that you don't necessarily want to be carrying over with you, but you have to. So it's stuff that needs to be worked out. It's problems that you haven't addressed yet, you know, that kind of thing. So again, there's a spectrum of possibility. And then the final card in the Carryover reading is a symbol of strength at the threshold. So this final card is really significant because it gives you a symbolic aid. It's like a talisman or an archetype of some kind, or a mantra or a quote that you can work with. That will help you to move forward into the new phase of being. So whatever comes up on this final card is a symbol of strength and encouragement for you as you step into the new phase, whatever that phase might be. The final 3-card spread that I want to give to you guys for your consideration is called Wrongdoing and Amends. And this might get a little bit shadowy for some of you, depending on how you're feeling and what's going on for you in life right now. But for some of you, it will be necessary. So, position number 1 in the Wrongdoing and Amends spread is, whereabouts could you have been wrong in the situation? So we're really looking at a specific situation or relationship or phase of life, looking at whereabouts you made mistakes, whereabouts you made the wrong move, whereabouts you might have said the wrong thing or made a decision that has later come to be seen as regrettable. It's really looking at whereabouts you didn't act in alignment with the highest version of you, whereabouts did you let your ego get in the way, all of that kind of thing. So it's really identifying and pinpointing for you whereabouts you could have been wrong, whereabouts you could have done better. The second spread position in the Wrongdoing and Amends spread is, what could you do differently next time? So it's looking at next time a situation like that comes along, next time you find yourself faced with a similar kind of challenge, what could you do to make sure that you do act in alignment with what you know to be right, and to make sure that you do not leave behind what you know to be true about yourself, your strength, your virtue, and how you want to carry yourself in the world. This card is obviously really important because it's looking at how you can learn the lessons from what went wrong the last time. So whatever flaws, whatever mistakes come through in this card, this is looking at how you can make sure that next time you feel backed into a similar corner, or you're going through a similar kind of rough part of the journey, you can make sure that you do behave in a more agreeable fashion that you feel is more in keeping with who you truly are and who you want to be. So the third and final spread position in this particular reading is how could you make amends? And this is really looking at, how you can make amends, how you can pay penance, how could you make things right? Now you might find with this particular card that it does tell you that there is no way that you can make amends with the person that you may have harmed, intentionally or unintentionally. This card may tell you though that there is a way that you can make amends, which is to do with how you treat people and how you carry yourself from now on. It may tell you that there are a number of positive life changes that you could make, which would help you to truly understand the lesson through making amends for what you did wrong. So it can be a very liberating card and a very spiritually elevating card, because it might tell you that there are ways that you can make amends with the individual, but it can also just tell you how you can make amends in terms of the bigger vision of your life journey. It can tell you, what kinds of actions you can take and what kinds of habits and mindsets you can foster to really ensure that you do not commit the same wrongdoing or mistake as you did before as you go forward in life. So this is definitely a very heady 3-card reading. It's not going to be right for everyone. There could be some shadow content coming through here. As with all of the other readings that I've showcased today, guys, you can do this one as a general and just see what comes through with no specific focus area, or of course it is really going to be very good in situations where you do feel like mistakes were made and you would like to identify your part of the wrongdoing and take responsibility for it and learn from it. So it can definitely go both ways, general or specific. I really hope that these ideas for 3-card spreads have gotten you thinking. If you try any of them, please let me know how they went and whether or not you got any good insights from them. I would be really curious to know. Don't forget that you can tweak these spread positions, you can change them, you can add clarifying cards and all that kind of jazz. Don't feel like you've got to do them exactly as I've laid them out for you. You can definitely do your own thing with them, and don't forget you can use any kind of deck that you want to use. You can also use runes and other things of that nature. So I really hope these have given you some ideas. So much love until next time, Pop Tarts. Blessed be.